What is going on, you guys? I'm Jeremy, and movies are terrible. And it's been a while since the last time I streamed here on YouTube, but if there was one thing that was going to bring me back, it was going to be Scream, or Scream 5. And also, I just caught it last night, but I'm going to talk about the new PEACEMAKER series on HBO as well. So you guys make sure to stick around if you are curious about those things. Before I get into the Scream review, I do want to kind of check the temperature in the room. How many of you guys have seen Scream? I'm assuming several of you haven't, and I have to ask, if that's the case, what do you think about spoilers? Are we going to talk spoilers or spoiler-free? Kind of going to leave that up to the community to decide. And I want to say thank you very much to Patrick McCabe, as well as King of the Hills 34 for being here in the chat bright and early. Means a lot. And we're not going to be going over the Wordle today. I did it this morning, and I got it right, but it was not all that impressive. Actually, Mark McKeever got it in 3 tries. King of the Hills 34, was it you that told me about Wordle? Because it's become a daily thing at this point. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm pretty bought in. I've been sharing my results over on Twitter. So if you are curious how my journey's been going so far, make sure to head over there and check me out on Twitter. That's Jeremy G Branch on Twitter. I had a Jeremy Be Terrible on Twitter for quite a while, and I don't know what happened, but somebody logged into my account, changed my name to Jeremy B Terrin, Terrin, thus locking me out of my account. So I reached out to Twitter and I said, hey, Twitter, somebody stole my account. Please let me know what to do. And I heard nothing. And like 2 weeks later, I was like, hey, Twitter, I'm still waiting to get my account back. What's the happening? No reply. I guess it's because I don't have a blue check mark, which how could you possibly have a blue check mark when you're not a celebrity? So they don't give a fuck about me. I haven't heard anything back from Twitter, so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just, use my own account, start back from square one. So here I am. But anyways, if you want to help me out, head over there and give that a follow. Yes, I thought you did. I thought you did suggest that on Twitch, and I'm glad you did, man. I'm quite enjoying that. All right, so it looks like nobody cares that much out of... Okay, King of the Hills, you have not seen it. You do not care about spoilers. Patrick McCabe, you have seen both of them. All right, excellent. So I am going to be talking to you as if you've seen both of these properties. I wouldn't think that PEACEMAKER is going to have any spoilers you'd really be concerned about. However, with Scream, a big aspect of it is the whodunit murder mystery part. So that would be the one spoiler that I would think would be the thing that you'd either care about or not care about. Anyways, with all of the preamble out of the way, what's up, Scott? How you doing, man? Leo in the chat, how's it going? Thank you guys for stopping by and being a part of the conversation. Love your hair. Happy weekend. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, so I went and saw Scream 5 opening night, aka Scream 2022, and it was a 7 p.m. showing. The theater was maybe 75% full, but it was full of enthusiastic horror fans. I haven't had that kind of feeling going to a movie since going to see Freddy vs. Jason back in 2004, whenever that was, where there's like all of these old school horror heads that haven't been to see this kind of slasher film in quite a while, coming together to kind of share their love of horror, and I'm here for it, man. I am somebody that, as long as I can remember, and this is no exaggeration, as long as I can remember, horror films have been my favorite kind of movie. And in 1996, when the first Scream came out, was it 1996 or 1994? I just fell in love with that film because it was a love letter to horror fans. I know the term meta gets thrown around a lot these days. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg with the metaverse, like meta is so used in the cultural lexicon at this point that some people are kind of tired of it. And I know that Scream wasn't the first film that kind of did this meta deconstruction of the horror genre. There was Jason Lives, and there was A New Nightmare, which was another Wes Craven movie. And both of those predate Scream, and both of them are very self-referential. The thing that I love about Scream is it's a horror film that takes place in a world where horror films exist. So if you are a fan of the genre and you're aware of all of these tropes, you kind of felt like you were in on the joke. But the thing that's great about Scream is it's a horror comedy that never veers too far in the direction of comedy as to undermine the horror, right? It's, I think, first and foremost a slasher film with meta commentary. A lot of the humor isn't so much out of like over-the-top scenarios as much as it is just like this acknowledgement that, hey, we exist in a world where these horror film rules apply. So even the killers are diehard fans of horror, and that's kind of what their motive is. So I love the first Scream. I went and saw the second Scream in the theater. I thought it was pretty good for a sequel. It is a sequel, but in this universe, they're able to do commentary on it being a sequel. The third Scream came out, and I was not a fan of it then. I rewatched it, a week ago in preparation for going to see the newest film, and it's very watchable. It's definitely another movie that celebrates movies, and it actually takes place in Hollywood, so the film industry ends up being a big part of it. I also found it to be quite surprising what a self-report it was for the Weinstein Company when the entire plot of it is that Sydney's mother was a victim of the casting couch. Like, how crazy is that? At the time, I didn't have the context that we have now, but it's like, this is a movie about creeps like Harvey Weinstein. Anyways, the fourth Scream came out, and this is kind of in the midst of the torture porn subgenre. So the commentary that it was kind of skewering would be like your Saws and your Hostels and things like that. I thought it was good. I liked the reveal of the killer in that one. It was an enjoyable film without being great. But I am happy to report that if there's one Scream movie that almost can stand shoulder to shoulder with the original film, I think it's Scream 5. Again, part of it is probably the fact that I did go to see the film on opening night and that I was very excited about it. But my wife and I both really enjoyed this film. It is a good blend of horror and comedy, and it's effective in its scares and its laughs. And it's easily the most brutal, the most hardcore of the Scream films so far, which I don't think is necessarily a positive or a negative, but it does very much reflect the times and audience expectations. So if you've seen the trailers, you know that this is a Scream film that brings back the stalwarts, is that the right word, of the franchise. We've got Neve Campbell returning as Sidney Prescott. We've got Courtney Cox returning as Gail Weathers. We've got David Arquette returning as Dewey, and then we've got a new cast that consists of Melissa Barrera, I think her name is Sam, she's the main character in it. Jenna Ortega from season 2 of You plays her younger sister. Dylan Minnette from, I think he was from Don't Breathe, plays one of the kids in it, and Jack Quaid from The Boys plays Sam's boyfriend in it. So it's got an all-around good cast, and it kind of does that thing where it is honoring the legacy of the film while also introducing it to a new generation and potentially carrying on the Scream franchise with this new young cast. I don't know if that's something I'm very interested in. I didn't watch the MTV Scream series, and I don't know, maybe it's good, maybe it's not, but it means that, like, for me, the franchise is still pretty fresh because it only exists in that realm of theatrical releases, right? So it had been a while since we've seen any of these Scream properties on the big screen, and if I'm not mistaken, Neve Campbell wasn't in the last movie, Scream 4? I don't think she was. I've only seen that one time. But anyways, so the new film Sinners, it starts off exactly the same as the first Scream movie with a phone call. There's a girl who's home alone, and she receives a phone call from Ghostface Killer, and true to form, he wants to ask her about horror films. And this is a great introduction because, again, it shows how audience expectations have shifted, and the idea of the slasher film is almost archaic to people at this point. I mean, when Scream came out in the 1990s, the slasher was essentially dead in the water. This did revitalize it for better or worse with movies like Urban Legend and I Know What You Did Last Summer and a bunch of movies that came out that they were slasher films, but they were also just kind of like tired rehashes of slasher films. I wasn't a fan of the 90s slasher era, but when Ghostface is asking this girl about the Stab franchise, for those of you that know, the Stab franchise is the in-universe dramatizations of the Woodsboro murders. So Stab takes place within the Scream universe, and Stab is kind of the opportunity for Scream to critique itself and its own legacy. But this girl on the phone at the beginning, she's like, I don't really watch slasher movies. I like elevated horror. I don't know how many of you that are watching this video are aware of that term. I actually did a video on it several months back where I was just kind of talking about how I hate the term, because there's always been art house horror movies. I mean, I think back to early Roman Polanski and this idea of psychological horror that explores themes of grief. That's not a new thing. I know A24 kind of cornered the market on it, and the girl name checks movies like The Babadook, Hereditary, other ones I can't remember right now, but it was kind of cool because that's where a lot of us horror fans are at these days, where the sensibilities have just changed, and the idea of just watching people, you know, get picked off one by one is very formulaic at this point. So audiences kind of want something different, and Scream 5 addresses that. Well, she's attacked by Ghostface, and she survives, which that's pretty unusual. And in fact, there's a lot of people that are attacked by Ghostface in Scream that aren't killed by him. Ghostface is a great character because Ghostface could be anybody, for one thing. So there's always this like whodunit, Agatha Christie murder mystery aspect to the Scream films. Oh shit, I kind of lost my train of thought. But typically the people, they don't typically when people fight Ghostface, they're able to kind of stand their ground. They're able to fight back. Ghostface is not invulnerable in the same way that like Michael Myers or Jason is, right? Those are just like these hulking, lumbering, slow, methodical killers that don't feel pain. They're not vulnerable. And what I like about Ghostface is it's clearly a person behind that costume, and people fuck Ghostface up like a lot. In every movie, Ghostface gets fucked up at some point in it. Like when Tatum is in the basement at the party and she's getting beers, and Ghostface confronts her down there, and she's taking bottles of beers and throwing it and busting it over his head. She hits him in the nuts with one of them, and Ghostface goes down. So I like the fact that our victims are able to fight back. It creates a little bit more suspense and tension, and I thought the first scene in Scream does a really good job of priming you on a visceral level. I've read reviews that are like, Scream 5 isn't scary, it's not surprising, and I gotta say, like, maybe it's not scary. It's not the kind of movie that sticks with you, but I thought there was some great suspense in it. I thought there was some really well-handled, tense scenes throughout it, and the fact of the new movie, I think why it works as well as it does is because the people that wrote it and directed it are former members of Radio Silence, which is this cool little group of filmmakers. They directed a couple of the segments in the VHS films. More recently, they did Ready or Not, which is a movie that really does, I think, owe a lot to Scream before that. So these guys, and I really need to pull up their names to kind of give them their flowers, because these dudes are really good filmmakers. But I thought their understanding of the subgenre really did add to how well they were able to sell it. Let's see, what are the name of the dudes that did it? Matt Bettinelli Open and Tyler Gillette. So yeah, they wrote and directed it, the two of them, and I think they did a pretty great job. They understand what audiences like about this series, and if there was somebody that was going to pick it up after Wes Craven, I'm glad it was these guys, because they really do honor the legacy. And that's a big thing about what this is about, what this movie focuses on. At one point, of course, our characters are kind of discussing the scenario, the situation that they're in, and they start talking about horror movies, because there's a set of twins that are in the movie that are actually Randy Meeks's niece and nephew. Randy being Jamie Kennedy's character from the original series, or from the original 2 films. And then also our main character, Melissa Barrera, has a legacy connection to the franchise. Dylan Minnette, his mother, is a sheriff that was featured. Well, she was a deputy in Scream 4. She's been promoted to sheriff. So most of the characters in this film have some sort of legacy connection to previous characters. A girl who actually lives in Stu Macher's old house. So there's like a 6 degrees of separation thing going on. Anyways, they're having a conversation and they're discussing what film they're actually in, and at one point it's referred to as being a requel, which, what a great term, right? But it applies to movies like, and I can't think of a whole lot of examples of it right now, but it's very in vogue to do it, where a franchise will go back to square one. They'll take the parts of the history and the lore that they like, and they'll omit the sequels from it to just kind of take it back to what audiences liked about it in the first place. Obviously, the big example, Halloween 2018. They also mention Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I believe Jigsaw might come up in it, or Spiral, like one of those movies that's kind of the same deal. And they also, their Stab 8 in universe was directed by Rian Johnson, and audiences hate it. One of my favorite things about Scream 5, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but one of my favorite things about Scream was seeing James and Chelsea from Dead Meat just kind of pop up on the screen for a second to talk about how bad Stab 8 sucked. I thought that was super cool because I'm a huge fan of Dead Meat, and to see what a profound influence they've had on the horror genre, just a couple of YouTubers who started off with this really cool concept for kill count. Now people, when they make films, they're considering what's going to be covered in the kill count for their movies. So I love this. It's kind of similar to like when a new Marvel property comes out, you know, they're watching the honest trailers. They're trying to make it CinemaSins proof or honest trailers proof, because those are kind of the new pop culture gatekeepers in a way. People like me, you know, people getting hundreds of views on their videos. Anyways, yeah, I thought this movie was super cool. So, they're discussing the fact that they're in these requels and kind of defining what each of their own archetypes would be. And I really like it that Melissa Barrera's character is kind of like, well, what does that make me? And they're like, you are the perfect candidate for the killer, which I could see that. However, after Scream 4 essentially did something very, very similar, I knew they weren't going to go in that direction. There's a lot of misleads in this movie, a lot of red herrings, a lot of characters that are set up that you're like, ooh, that person's sus, which obviously that's the nature of these kind of mysteries. But they did it really well. I mean, I was guessing up until the end. Melissa Barrera, Sam's character's lineage is her father was Billy Loomis. Billy being Stu's co-conspirator, actually the main conspirator, and Stu was kind of his co-conspirator that orchestrated all of the events in the first Scream, which was actually kind of retconned in the third movie when it turns out that Neve Campbell, Sidney's brother, was the one that had orchestrated the whole thing. But whatever, the less said about Scream 3, the better, even though this movie doesn't like do away with that part of it. It's just not one of the main focuses. So, her character ended up leaving Woodsboro when she found out that her father was Billy Loomis, because she was afraid that she was going to turn out just like him. So she moved away. She was working at this bowling alley. You know, she's like a 20-something. And she's with this boyfriend. I wish I knew the character's name. Richie Kirsch is her new boyfriend, played by Jack Quaid. And she finds out that her sister was attacked, so she goes back to Woodsboro, and he decides he's going to go with her. He's a super supportive boyfriend, right? Well, after a couple more bodies start piling up, they decide they've got to go and see somebody who has been through this before, so they go and they find Dewey. And Dewey's always been one of my favorite characters in the franchise. I mean, easy to tell why. He's like this super earnest and goofy guy who's just there to help. I mean, that's always been his MO, and he's been through a lot with Ghostface. I think he'd been stabbed like 7 times and survived it. So like any Scream movie that he was in, he was going to get fucked up, but he's going to live through it. So he's one of the characters that survived attacks by Ghostface. Dude, stabbings are so gross. I can't get over how gnarly of a wound and how painful that would be, right? You see people get shot in movies all the time, like James Bond movies, and you never stop and think, like, fuck, if they lived through that, that would hurt. But when somebody takes a knife in the shoulder or the leg or in the freaking side, you're like, ooh. Especially like the hunting knives that they use in Scream. That's kind of Ghostface's signature weapon, right? Like Chucky and Michael Myers, they use the butcher knife. The Ghostface killer uses like this gnarly hunting knife. And just the thought of how painful that shit would be, it makes me wince or cringe every single time that it happened on screen. So the kills are effective, man. There's one in particular where the Ghostface traps one of the characters. There's a lot of this, and the characters are trying to fight back and keep the knife away from them, and Ghostface will put that second hand on the butt of the knife and then start pushing down like that, and he goes through the neck of a character, and it comes out the side of it, so it's not like straight through the throat. No, dude, like you can see it sheathing the skin. It was by far the nastiest kill in any of the Scream movies, and it was like, it's hardcore, man. At moments, this movie's a little mean-spirited, which I actually think works because 2018's Halloween was a little bit the same way. Like, the first Scream movies, they might as well have been PG-13, right? Like, the violence is never explicit. In fact, I think the third Scream was PG-13. But, like, they've always been a little bit, like, horror for casual fans, maybe. I don't know if that's right, because they're also for diehard fans. But the gore has never been explicit. Similar to the first Halloween. However, in the 2018 version, audience expectations have changed. This is happening on the heels of the Rob Zombie garbage adaptations of Halloween. So audiences, they want a bloodshed. They want their Michael Myers to be hardcore, and they went for it in that movie. And Ghostface, I think, reflects that in this newest Scream movie. So yeah, so the two of them come back to Woodsboro. They've talked to all of Sam's little sister's friends, and I hope her name is Sam. I keep saying Sam. Yeah, Sam Carpenter. Little nod to John Carpenter. And one of our characters' name is Wes Hicks, obviously a nod to Wes Craven. So there are like little fun Easter eggs throughout the movie that is like, hey, horror fans, we see you, you know? And I really like that. So as the mystery starts to unravel, lots of suspects are introduced. A lot of it takes place in a hospital because Sam's little sister is pretty much laid up. Her name's Tara. She's pretty much laid up in the hospital through the majority of the movie, recuperating from those horrendous stab wounds. One of them goes straight through her fucking hand, dude. Comes out the back, and you're like, gross. But yeah, so she's in the hospital recuperating. There's a couple of sequences that happen there. And, you know, one thing I will say about the Scream movies, and it's symptomatic of all horror films, but your characters kind of got to do dumb shit, like leaving people unattended, splitting up, all of the typical slasher movie stuff. And Scream can get away with it because it's commentary on it, but it's also kind of falling victim to the same tropes that it's kind of trying to send up. So sometimes Scream kind of wants to have its cake and eat it too. And because of the nature of the type of film that it is, I think it kind of gets a pass. But there was a couple times in it I'm like, there's no way that a person would do that one thing. A couple examples of it, including leaving Tara at the hospital, splitting up to go down the stairs to go get beers, you know, the typical shit that happens in these type of movies. But because it's Scream, it's able to kind of be like, look at this dummy. There's one really good scene where Wes is about to be murdered, and he'll open a pantry up, you know, obscuring the vision of what's behind him, and then the music will start to swell, and you're like, man, the second he closes that pantry door, Ghostface is going to be standing behind there, and he closes the door, and then the suspense sting just goes silent. Walks over, opens up the refrigerator, same thing, music starts to swell, closes the refrigerator. And they're kind of like fake out jump scares. I know James Wan kind of does it with the Conjuring movies, but this was like very much teasing the audience. And I thought it was funny. It actually kind of plays like a joke. So anyways, I don't have the outline here in front of me. I don't need to do the play-by-play of it, but I thought that it was, a return to form for the franchise. I think they handled the legacy characters well. Dewey contacts Gale and Sydney to tell them basically to stay away, which obviously, knowing these two bad bitches, the first thing they do is get in their vehicles to come to Woodsboro to help. I wasn't sure going in how many of the legacy characters were going to last, and I was almost kind of suspicious, like maybe they're going to do something weird and make one of them Ghostface, which I'm glad they didn't do that. One of the most shocking moments, though, in the movie is when Dewey actually ends up getting killed. It was another example of like, come on, dude. He's like, you can't leave him there. You got to headshot him to make sure they go down. So his, the rest of the little crew that he's with, they're escaping out the elevator, and he's like, wait, I got to go back. He goes over, puts the fucking gun straight at Ghostface's head, and then his cell phone rings. So instead of going pop, pop, and then answering the cell phone, he gets distracted, he answers the cell phone, and then Ghostface just comes up and freaking stabs him in the gut and like twists the knife and pulls it up, and you're like, oh, fuck. They just now killed Dewey. And if you're not sure they killed Dewey, then the very next, scene, they're wheeling him out in a body bag, and you're just like, damn, that's real. Like, that kind of stings a little bit. But it really does galvanize the relationship between Sid and Gale, who end up kind of saving the day in this movie. The conflict, the showdown at the end actually takes place at the Mocker home, Stu's home, so it's like kind of the return to the house where this all started at. If you remember, this is where the finale of the first film takes place, and it's when our killers are revealed. And there are like nice little moments throughout the movie that point you in the direction of the killer. I think it lines up. One thing I would be curious about is which of our killers, because there are two of them, which of our killers are responsible for which of the murders. And is it actually possible with like the geographical layout, the time frame, all of that kind of shit? There's actually a YouTuber named Zach Cherry. Almost his entire channel is dedicated to Scream content. And he did a really good video on the first Scream where he's like, that's Billy, that's Stu, that's Billy. And I don't know if it really all tracks, but I thought it was really fascinating. I'm actually counting down the days to find out who this new killer is, or to find out, when his new video drops, which of the killers is which. But the murderers end up being Tara's best friend. It's kind of funny because of the way that she ends up getting dispatched at the end. She's the girl who played one of the Manson family in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Pretty sure she's the one that gets fucking burned up with the blowtorch at the end, which is funny because she ends up on fire at the end of this movie also. Maybe it's a commentary. It's probably a commentary, but it's never really, really addressed. And then our other killer, surprise, is the boyfriend. Turns out our boy wasn't just the sweet, loyal boyfriend that it looks like. Both of our killers are obsessed with the Stab franchise. They feel that the last couple entries have been a disservice. So the movie kind of ends up being a satire or a condemnation of toxic fandom and fan entitlement. How people feel like they know the movies better than their creators do. So the two of them have concocted a actual real life story that's going to be made into Stab 9, that's going to take it back to the roots of the franchise, that makes it what fans love about it in the first place. So what's happening in the movie is a reflection of what's happening on the movie screen that we're watching, and it was just a good time. It was just a really good time. I walked out of it with a big smile on my face thinking like, wow, they kind of nailed this. They did this exactly the way that I enjoyed it. And on a scale of 1 to 5, I think I'm gonna give Scream 5. I think I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5. This was a very enjoyable watch. I'm glad I caught it when I did, and if you haven't seen it yet, I hope that you go in and you enjoy it, because I think that this art form, this thing, the slasher film, it is such a part of horror's legacy. And it's what I grew up on, like the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hellraiser. And then, standing on the shoulders of giants, Scream came out, and it, reinvented the slasher genre. And it's carried the torch for horror fans for literally decades now. So yeah, thumbs up to this one. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm going to go over to the live chat and take a look and see if I get some commentary on it. Let's see. Patrick McCabe, Scream wasn't packed like Spidey, but everyone had a great time. I was 13 seeing the first Scream in the theater. It was awesome. Yeah, dude. There was a moment when Sid showed up on screen. She was jogging when she answered her phone. I believe it's from behind her. And there was one single person down in the front, like on the floor. And it was as if we were seeing Han Solo come onto the screen for the first time, or seeing Andrew Garfield show up in Into the Spider-Verse, or No Way Home. And nobody else applauded. And he just kind of like, all right, guess it's not this kind of party. But I was like, he was really excited to see Sid on the movie. That's cute. But yeah, totally different kind of audiences, different kind of experience. But I was happy to see that at least one person was like super happy to be there. I love that. I've never seen any of them, and I do not feel like I'm missing out. Scott Simo said that's why I hated the new Matrix movie. It was just a bunch of meta member berries. I think that there is definitely a line that can be drawn between Matrix Resurrections and Scream 5. I think there are a lot of similarities in them. The thing is, Matrix was never that franchise. Scream, I think, is true to what it's always been, where I think that the beginning of Matrix Resurrections probably threw some people off. So I see where you're coming from. I think that's a great comparison. It's also a movie that really goes back to the beginning and doesn't retcon what happened afterwards, but is very focused on the original film. So I do think that Matrix Resurrections and Halloween do share quite a bit of DNA. The last scary movie I think I saw was Cabin in the Woods, and the ending was crazy because I think they were all set up to get killed, like an experiment Big Brother or something. Saw it so long ago. I love Cabin in the Woods, and I think Cabin in the Woods is kind of standing on the shoulders of what happened with Scream in the original movie. And in fact, Cabin in the Woods is one of my favorite postmodern horror movies, right? Like it's one of the best post-Scream horror films, and really does play in the genre of being both horror and comedy, and pulling them off pretty fucking well. So I like that. Ready or Not was fun. They wrote a letter to the Scream cast saying how big an inspiration Wes Craven was to get their blessings to do Scream 5. What's up, Sizzle Real? Hey all, good to see more of you, Jeremy. Haven't seen yet. We'll come back to watch. Everybody hit that like button. Thank you very much, and I agree. Please hit the like button if you haven't so far. Patrick McCabe says Dewey was the best actor in the movie. David Arquette was great. Yeah, he brought a level of pathos to it that a lot of the other characters didn't quite have. He was a sad sack, you know. His glory days were kind of behind him. He's watching Gale on the news every morning, living in a mobile home, just kind of drinking his life away at this point. The dude had been through a lot. So yeah, I agree. I think he was the beating heart of the movie. Razzle Squad. I'm watching Gremlins right now. Classic movie. Thought Scream 5 was the second worst in the series in front of 3, although I love the death scenes of Weth and Judy Hicks. Tension. Dude, what a great scene. Love Gremlins. Second worst in the series in front of 3. Fair enough. Crashing Coyote, where you at? Freedom! If a person hasn't seen any Scream movie, would they like this movie, says Leo. Nah, probably not. Probably not. Is it necessary to have watched the TV series, or is it enough with the movies? Daniel Ruiz, I've never seen the television series before. Crashing Coyote. Cena should host the 2022 Oscars dressed as Peacemaker and start the Oscars with the intro dance number. I think that's a good opportunity for me to go ahead and switch gears and start discussing Peacemaker. So we got several superhero films over the last year, and I feel like one of the almost forgotten but equally fucking awesome superhero movies was James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Sure, it's not your Marvel fare, something totally different. Although still being pretty similar to the first Suicide Squad, just way fucking better. But it came out so early in the year that it was like it got buried under all of the Marvel stuff, which is, it's going to happen, right? But I felt like it was subversive and edgy and just grimy in ways that only James Gunn can do, right? Like, Super is such a nihilistic superhero movie where fucking Dwight from The Office is just like beating people with wrenches and shit. Elliot Page gets his face blown off in the movie. It's like pretty gnarly scene, but I don't know why I say that other than to just say James Gunn isn't afraid to get dark and subversive with his content. And Peacemaker wasn't my favorite part of Suicide Squad. I thought he was a little one note, despite thinking that John Cena is a very funny comedic actor. So last night I was just kind of scrolling through HBO Max, which is by far my favorite streaming service. Just their catalog slaps, dude. You go through Netflix and it's like nothing good in there. Can't find shit. Go to Hulu. There's some good stuff on Hulu. It's all right, especially if you like late night television. That's kind of what I use it for. Going to Amazon Prime, it's like, how the fuck did these movies even get on here? These are not real movies. These are like home videos. How did these people get these movies on here? So like the majority of Amazon Prime is just complete shit. You go to HBO Max and I'm like watching The Righteous Gemstones, Succession, fucking Peacemaker. Just like Dune came out on HBO Max at the same time as it came into the theaters. Like, HBO slaps, dude. You go on there and you can be sure that the majority of the stuff is quality. So anyways, the homepage is just plastered with Peacemaker last night. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a shot. Despite Peacemaker not being my favorite part of Suicide Squad, I still thought he was pretty cool. The show opens up. I'm a person like most of you, I'm sure. We skip intros. You know what I mean? You hear the intro song, you see the little art that goes along with it one time on a show, and then you're good. I don't think I'm ever going to skip an intro to Peacemaker. Like, dude, I was so bought in just by the time the movie, or by the time the episode started, because of that dance number that is the intro. It's so fucking great, dude. Like, what even is that? It is the weirdest thing. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Peacemaker the show. It ended up just really surprising me and catching me off guard, and there was like a 3-episode premiere on HBO so far. So you don't have to just watch the pilot and then be done with it for a week. No, you get 3 episodes back to back. So it's like the length of a fairly long movie. And it's hella fun, dude. It is a very good time. Let's see. Episode recaps. See if I can pull it up this way. So it was created by James Gunn, and I believe that James Gunn directed some of the episodes. I don't know that he directed all of the episodes, but it is his show based on his interpretations of the characters from his Suicide Squad film. It stars John Cena as Christopher Smith, a.k.a. Peacemaker, a merciless killer who believes in achieving peace at any cost. Yeah, he's like, I believe in peace, no matter how many people I have to murder and torture to get it. Which is just hilariously ironic and very, very America. You know the thing about Peacemaker? Peacemaker is what Captain America would probably be in real life, right? Like, our MCU Captain America, he's an idealist, dude. He's the fucking real deal. Even though the world changed around him, he kept his principles and he kept his pure heart. Peacemaker is a tool of a system that doesn't believe in the values that they espouse, right? They're like CIA operatives that are really more interested in self-interest than they are with the greater good or whatever that concept is. So I think Peacemaker is also, he's like a sad character. He's kind of tragic because he's just been chewed up and spit out by the government. And so I like that kind of part of him. James Gunn described him as a superhero slash supervillain, the world's biggest douchebag, right? He's like a huge meathead. I like the music in Peacemaker a lot. They use a lot of like 80s ballad shit. And it's not like I love that kind of music, but I do feel like it speaks to his character very well. He's got a pet. He's got a fucking pet bald eagle named Eagly. And it is the funniest thing, dude. Like when we're introduced to the character, the eagle hugs him. It's so cute. It like wraps his wings around him and it's hugging him. And he's trying to get his dad to take a picture of it, but his dad had walked away like 5 minutes ago because he hates his fucking son. He calls him a pansy and worse. Danielle Brooks plays Leota, who is the newest member of this Black Ops squad known as Project Butterfly. Turns out she's also the daughter of Amanda Waller. So Viola Davis reprises her role in it. And while I haven't seen her like actually in the show yet, we see her on a computer monitor in the show. So I don't know if they just like got her for one day and were like, hey, we need to just shoot some shit, or if Amanda Waller is actually going to be showing up in the show. But it's kind of cool. There's like a little connection there that the rest of the team isn't aware of. Freddie Stroma plays Adrian Chase slash Vigilante. This is a hilarious character, a little reminiscent of like Snake Eyes and even Deadpool. He's like kind of the archetypal ninja action figure character. He's also equally brutish in his methods as Peacemaker is. As a vigilante, he's like, sometimes I'll catch somebody committing robbery or smoking a joint, and I have to murder those people. And you're like, holy shit, dude. This guy is hardcore. We got Chukwudi Iwuji. Nailed it. He's Clemson Mern. He's the leader of Project Butterfly. He's essentially the Amanda Waller or the Rick Flag of this team. Don't really know a whole lot about him yet, other than like he's about that assignment. He gets the job done, sometimes through questionable means, as people on his team tells him. Jennifer Holland plays Emilia Harcourt. Don't know if you guys know who she is in real life. Gunn notes that despite her association with Peacemaker, Harcourt does not see herself in a romantic relationship with him, at least from her point of view, leading the pair to have a complicated relationship. So Jennifer Holland is actually James Gunn's wife or girlfriend. I don't know, one or the other. She's in all of his like Instagram posts and stuff. I think she was in like American Pie, The Naked Mile or something back in the day, but she's not like a really well-known actress. She did have a relatively is a minor role in the Suicide Squad film, but she's very much front and center in Peacemaker, and she kicks ass, dude. I really like her. I think she's a badass. Steve Agee, very funny comic actor who was also in the Suicide Squad film. And he plays John Economos, an Argus agent who provides tactical support to Project Butterfly. He's kind of the man at the desk. Is that what they call him? The man in the chair? The guy in the chair? Whatever the term is from Spider-Man. He's kind of that role. And we got Robert Patrick, who plays Peacemaker's dad. August Smith, the White Dragon. Peacemaker's racist piece of shit dad who supplies him with technology to aid his mission. So he's the guy that makes all of the helmets, which some of the helmets have different power sets, including a sonic boom, which creates for some real fireworks in one of the episodes. Hey, is Mark McKeever in here? What's up, dude? James Gunn wrote all 8 episodes, directing 5 episodes. Nice. Netflix raising rates again as of today. Man, I'm really liking that newest, that reel that you got there, Mark. Thank you very much, man. Really does mean a lot. Fuck Netflix, dude. I'm about to cancel Netflix. They can eat a dick. Getting too expensive for what it offers. Yeah, I saw Witcher. I don't know what else is coming out that I'm like, oh, dude, I can't wait till season 2 of Squid Games. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think I got what I needed out of the first season of that, but I don't know. Patrick McCabe, the intro song isn't 80s. It's from 2010. Apparently, hair metal is still huge in Sweden. I don't know how many of the songs are actually 80s now that I say that, because I don't know half of the songs. They just have that sound to them. But then in one of the episodes, I heard a song that I was like, oh, that's definitely an 80s song. And then I was like, no, the way the vocals are being delivered, it just sounds like an 80s song. So maybe none of them are actually 80s songs, and they just all have that hair metal vibe. Would be curious. Alright, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Son of a bitch. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what we can do here. Do. That might have helped. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, I would say it does matter what his opinion is. Jeez. Sheesh. Ruthless. Thank you, Patrick McCabe. For what it's worth, not that my opinion matters, but Netflix is like my, not least favorite, but it's right there with Prime, dude. Like at the kind of bottom of the barrel for me, personally, in my opinion. I don't know how you quantify the value of something that you're not using, right? You know what I mean? Anyways, to each their own. Thank you, Leo. So let's see what else. What else? All right, so episode 1 is titled A Whole New World. That's WHIRLED. 5 months after his mission in Corte Maltese, which is where the first, where Suicide Squad takes place. He's discharged from the hospital. It's a very funny scene, and when he puts back on his uniform, it's like covered in gore and viscera, because this is the mission where he just now killed Rick Flag. But anyways, as he's leaving, he encounters Argus agents led by Clemson Mern, who recruits him for a new mission dubbed Project Butterfly. Smith visits his father, Augie, to retrieve his pet eagle, Eagly, and acquire a new outfit. Later, Mern gives Smith a dossier of an assassination target. He attempts to flirt with handler Emilia Harcourt, but is rejected. Meanwhile, Project Butterfly's new recruit, Leota, discusses in private with her mother, Amanda Waller, about her secret task. Smith hooks up with a woman at the bar, but then he discovers that she's a metahuman, and she tries to kill him. Struggle ensues, and Smith manages to kill the woman with the previously mentioned Sonic Boom helmet, dude. She goes to, like, lunge at him, and it's like, Sonic Boom, and it just fucking blows her to, like, she doesn't exist anymore. Just, like, the kind of splatter gore that you would only see in a James Gunn movie. It's comical. It's also very fucking gross, and it was a funny scene. Talking about, like, 80s hair metal, dude, that chick's wig was wild, dude. It was so crazy looking. My wife's like, why does her hair look like that? I'm like, that's just what he's into. But I really like the scene at the bar because, what's her name? Jennifer? Emilia. She goes to the bar and some dude like approaches her. She's just like there to have a beer after work. Some dude approaches her. Meanwhile, Peacemaker's like sees her walk into the bar, and so he turns around to go fucking harass her too. And she tells the guy that's hitting on her to fuck off, and then him and his friend like come over to, I don't know, beat her up or something, and she kicks their ass. Well, Peacemaker sees it go down. He's like, that was fucking hot. And then he tries to mac, and you're like, dude, she's clearly not here for that. She's like, oh, what? I can't have a fucking beer because what? Because I wear makeup? I can't even like fucking exist because everybody wants to hit on me because they think I'm hot. And he's just kind of like, duh. And that's when he sees she storms off, and that's when he sees the trashy looking girl just kind of sitting across the room by herself, looking like easy prey. Ah, man. So he brings her home, and they do the nasty. A lot of John Cena walking around in his undies in this show. It's like got some Magic Mike elements to it, which is all right. It's whatever. It's a little something for the ladies or anybody who's interested in that kind of thing, I suppose. Yes, I have seen the post-credit scenes in each episode. No infighting in the community. No infighting. We're all friends here. Everybody be cool. We're talking fucking TV and movies. It could not be less divisive. So just a reminder to everyone, everybody's got opinions and they all are like buttholes and they're all really great to enter. I think that's the way the expression goes. Everybody's got a butthole and an opinion, and it's really great to put yourself inside them. Something like that. I don't know. I'm not like a wordsmith. You know what I mean? Episode 2, Smith contacts Harcourt about a situation and is later rescued by her from Evergreen's police forces. The team manages to cover up his trails and pin the blame on Augie, who eventually gets arrested in his place. While in prison, Augie is hailed as the White Dragon. Smith attempts to inquire information about Project Butterfly from Myrn to no avail. Feeling shunned by the team and saddened Smith returns to his trailer where he's greeted by Vigilante. Vigilante attempts to cheer him up by inviting him to target practice. Later, Smith learns that a device he recovered from the metahuman woman's apartment is a miniature spaceship. I was wondering what that thing was. It looked like a spaceship, but I was like, what is it, like a fucking hoverboard? I was confused at first. But we still don't exactly know why they're calling it Project Butterfly, but shit starts to get really weird. Yeah, Augie gets arrested for the murder of the metahuman from the previous episode, and when he goes into prison, somebody's like, oh, look who's here, and you think there might be a fight. Then he goes and, like, threatens some fucking black dude who's just, like, sitting there minding his business, and the guy's like, fuck this, I'm not gonna die for a seat. And then, like, all of the white people in the prison, they go and they start, like, bowing to this dude, and you're like, oh, okay, so, like, he's a known white supremacist leader. He's like a neo-Nazi. That's fucked up. Robert Patrick, by the way, the T-1000 from Terminator. I'm sure you knew that, but just wanted to, just in case you didn't know that. I really like the scene where Smith goes back to his trailer and just starts crying. He's got some serious self-hatred going on inside of him because, again, he's like a tool for a corrupt system, and he real negative self-talk, man. Like, I can sympathize with you, my bro. He's like crying, like, you're a piece of shit, you fucking suck, everybody hates you, because everybody thinks he's a supervillain. He sees himself as a superhero because he's always been told he was doing the right thing. And then, like, people approach him and they're like, dude, you only kill minorities. Like, you only kill non-white people. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do? Just, like, not stop somebody from committing crimes? And he's like, no, just, like, why don't you police white areas so that you can equally convict them for the crimes that they commit? Anyways, a lot of stuff about kind of institutionalized racism, which I got a kick out of. I thought that was funny. Because the whole time, everybody just, like, thinks he must be a white supremacist racist. He doesn't see himself that way, and I really don't think he is, because he's like the first person to be kind to the newest member of the team. So anyways, a little aside, but yeah, I definitely thought that was funny. One of the moments that I feel like is very James Gunn and not very funny is when Vigilante's like standing in the window and Smith thinks he's got his dick out for some reason, and it goes on for, like, I think 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes of the episode was John Cena refusing to turn around and look at Vigilante because he thought his dick was out. Again, very James Gunn. Like, I feel like James Gunn is one of those dudes that when he hits hard. But I think his track record's like closer to 70-30, where like the shit that's not funny is just like, man, that is very not funny. Like that is some juvenile shit. Anyways. Nick Mayfield, what's up, dude? I'm not sure if it's 6 or 8. Oh, okay, looks like it's 8 episodes. Batmite, not sure who that is. But I do remember it coming up in the show. All right, episode 3, Better Goff Dead. Oh, by the way, episode 2 is called Best Friends for Never. Episode 3 is Better Goff Dead. Myrn briefs Smith on the mission to assassinate U.S. Senator Royland Goff, who is a suspected butterfly. We're still not sure what the butterfly thing's about. Smith shows hesitance when he learns that Goff's children are also potential targets. Yeah, dude, they're like, you may have to kill women and children. He's like, fuck, dude. Why you guys always make me kill women and children? The team arrives at Goff's home, where Smith and Harcourt stake out the area. Really kind of great little scene where he's just like totally falling in love with her. There's like fireflies around, and she's like sipping his drink in slow motion, like the world stands still. But I think she's starting to warm up to him also in that scene. But they're like watching this family through the window, and all of the family has this really weird and specific mannerism that doesn't seem like human. And then they all sit down to eat at the dinner table, and somebody brings out like these bowls of like viscous liquid, almost like honey or something, and set it in front of them. And those, like, you know how butterflies have those weird tongues that like are straws? All of them like unfold these straw tongues, and they're all like drinking it. And that's when they get confirmation. Okay, all of these are butterflies. So they have to make the call to kill all of them. Peacemaker's really struggling with this. Like I said, he's not about this life anymore. But Vigilante, luckily, just happens to be there, like, stalking him, watching the whole time. And takes over, takes shots, fucking kills everybody, one shot each. Wait, I don't think the Goff doesn't go down like the rest of them. But his bodyguard intervenes and incapacitates Smith and Vigilante. Later, Goff attempts to torture Vigilante, but his secret identity is revealed as Adrian Chase. Smith manages to free himself and kill Goff, but then discovers the butterfly-like creature emerging from his corpse. Unbeknownst to the team, several suspected butterflies have been detected around the world. Like, a lot of them. Like, just every fucking where there's these butterflies. And yeah, once they blow the head off of one of the characters, this big like alien butterfly thing comes crawling out of its head. And it's like, okay, there's an alien race that's infiltrating the minds of these people, that's turning them into drone soldiers. You know what I mean? Not completely dissimilar to Starro's henchmen with the starfish on their face. You know what I mean? Kind of a similar vibe. Anyways, I'm really digging this show, man. The scene where dude's getting tortured and John Cena's just like, I don't care, do whatever. Knowing that he does, you're just like, oh man. That was really funny. But my favorite part of the episode is when Peacemaker's trying to escape and he's got to go from like balcony to balcony. He just like jumps and just fucking falls, dude. It hits the next ground, laying on his back. Like, it seems so painful, because normally you see superheroes, they just like jump off the 4th floor, land with their fist on the ground. Fucking cool superhero landing. No, not Peacemaker, man. Not Peacemaker. He's got to take the long way down. I really like that. And then he gets down to the bottom and he's about to be arrested by several police officers, and what's her name shows up. Why can't I remember character names? She shows up and puts them all to sleep with tranquilizer darts. Dude. Emilia. Harcourt. Yeah, that's what she goes by. Harcourt. So we've got a total of 8 episodes coming out. James Gunn directs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think Mark McKeever said this stuff in the chat already. But yeah, having a lot of fun with it. Very difficult to quantify my final thoughts on a series that is not over yet. Crashing Coyote, could not agree more, my dude. Could not agree more. Did you guys just see John Cena walk in the background too? What are we talking about? But one episode's going to be really dark and show Robert Patrick raising Peacemaker, show how effed up his childhood is and why he is the way that he is. Yeah, man. So anyways, without having seen the entire series so far, Peacemaker, again, 4 out of 5. I'm talking about two things today that I was very enthusiastic about. That's why I decided I had to go live, because these are both fun. And it speaks, and I'm sure to many of your sensibilities as well, but these are the kind of projects that I like. They're a little winky, a little self-referential, comedic, graphic violence, clever script and dialogue, just a fun time. Just it's escapism, but it's not for kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's escapism, but it's done in a way that is subversive, a little edgy, but still a little mainstream also. Yeah, thumbs up for me. 4 out of 5 on Peacemaker, 4 out of 5 on Scream 2022. Good times. I hope that you guys get out there and enjoy them. January is doing a lot better than most Januaries. Yeah, absolutely. Peacemaker didn't think Vigilante's dick was out. He was just saying that to cover the fact that he was just crying. Yeah, for sure. But I guess it was just the dialogue going on for as long as it did for the joke of it. I'm not crying. I'm just working out my face muscles. Can you teach me how? Yeah. Oh shit, dude. I like Vigilante's costume though, man. That shit's cool. I was so mad about Peacemaker fucking killing Rick Flag in the movie, dude. I didn't think I was going to be able to watch a show about him. But they do a good job of like capturing, as ridiculous of a character as he is, they do a good job of capturing his sadness. And that's one thing, like, John Cena's good, dude. John Cena always is kind of doing the John Cena thing, but like, when you look like that, how could you not? He's like freakishly fucking muscular, so the ability to play, there's one archetypal character that he can do very well, and he does it very well. I'm not a late WWE fan. Like, I didn't watch the Cena era. I know that he's like a beloved wrestler and wore denim jean shorts. Jorts? Yeah, he wore jorts. Yes, Patrick McCabe, very James Gunn joke. Very James Gunn joke. I'm glad that James Gunn has an avenue to still do those kind of like trauma style jokes. He got in a lot of trouble because of his Twitter presence back in the day. And people were like, you got to get rid of James Gunn. Not people that support Disney or James Gunn or Guardians of the Galaxy or any of that. Just like asshole bad actors that wanted to make it seem like he was part of the Hollywood pedo ring, which is... Look, I'm not saying that there are not high power people out there that are doing some creepy shit. I just think to like throw Hollywood's not even it's a fucking place, right? I don't think everybody in Hollywood's like, all right, we're going to put you in this movie, but first we're going to need you to, you know what I mean? Somebody said it about Bob Saget the other day. They were like, yeah, it's kind of weird. They found him dead in a hotel room. Seem to find a lot of actors dead in hotel rooms. Maybe he was part of the Red Shoe Club. I'm like, whoa. You be fucking careful what you say about America's dad. You know his stand-up was dirty, didn't you? Who gives a fuck? I don't know, man. Steroids for sure on John Cena. There was that scene where he had his shirt off after he had just now had sex, and just like the veins through his pectoral muscles were so pronounced. It's like, holy shit, dude. I don't think you look like that naturally. Google it, Leo. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to get like deplatformed. You know, there's a lot of people watching what I'm doing over here, and I just don't want to. But yeah, Google it. It's stupid. It's stupid. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm stupid. Regardless of whether this is true or not, I'm pretty stupid. I'm gonna own it. But I think that those conspiracies are pretty far out, man. I don't know. Not that I, like, again, I can't sit here and say it doesn't happen, because we've seen it happen. I mean, like, Bryan Singer, Kevin Spacey, all of the witnesses to Kevin Spacey being, like, dead now. It's crazy, dude. But I don't think like John Cena's hanging out with fucking Bryan Singer. You get what I'm saying? Like, some people are. I'm not being specific enough. I'm being very cryptic in what I'm saying here. It's the adrenochrome shit. You guys know what I'm talking about. Copy. Let's put that in your second browser. I don't know that they were hilarious, Crashing Cody, but they were definitely Crashing Coyote. I don't know that they were hilarious, but they were definitely very James Gunn. And I appreciate your hot take. I knew when you read what they were, it's like, yeah, he's an edgelord. He's old school troll. Troma was a troll. Like, it's this New York fucking movie studio that put out, like, and everybody says Toxic Avenger. Check out Tromeo and Juliet. If you've never seen Tromeo and Juliet, it's James Gunn's first movie, and it really tells you all you need to know about what James Gunn thinks is cool and funny. And you know, people know James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy the same way people know Bob Saget from fucking Full House, but that was them filtered through the lens of corporate greed, right? Like, Bob Saget wasn't able to do his material on Full House, right? It's not, James Gunn wasn't allowed to do his R-rated exploitation schlock with Marvel. Corporations have rules. When you work for these corporations, you represent these corporations for better or worse. And people get an idea about who these people are based on their work, or vice versa. They look at their work through the lens of who they are as a person, when in my mind, you should always look at these as two different categories of things. I always talk about Roman Polanski, which is sus, especially because of that thing we were just talking about. But, like, I like Rosemary's Baby. I like The Tenant. I like Repulsion. I don't like Roman Polanski. Billie Jean, song fucking slaps. Thriller, great shit. I mean, all the way through Michael Jackson's catalog, his music, fucking phenomenal. Is he a good person? I don't know, man. I can't speak to that. Ignition, R. Kelly, it's a good song. R. Kelly, bad fucking dude. Now, am I going to buy the next R. Kelly album? Nah, but if it comes on, I might listen to it. You know what I mean? I might. If it's good. If it's not, I'm going to be like, that song sucks. And R. Kelly sucks. I miss Sam Kinison. So funny. Yeah, absolutely, Leo. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Patrick McCabe. Kind of crazy. Let's see. Got some other good ones for you. And I'm not saying anything. I'm just sharing things that I've read. I'm not going to sit here and use this to talk about shit that's way out of my depth, things that I don't know anything about. Because as you just now said, Leo, which is very true, is like we don't know anything about these people. We only know the image that they procure. I guess the same could be said about me or you or anybody, right? And even the person that we present to the world, separate from social media, like when I go into a store, is that who I really am, or is that just who I want you to think I am? And then, like, what even is it to be, right? It's fucking heady, man. Like, who are you really? Do you know? Who knows, man? Who knows what the fuck's going on out there? I know that Tony Montana is one of Spacey's accusers, which is funny because that's the name of Scarface. Rest of it, not funny. Name, pretty funny. Oh, interesting, Crashing Coyote. I did not know. I'm curious about that. Showed her fake boobs in the movie. Like, as he's sitting there clapping, those things aren't going anywhere. His wife's hot. I don't know if it is or not. Doesn't matter. She's still a smoke show. Which you would think she would be, right? That makes sense. Man, Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet split up. I don't know that I'm going to recover. Hope you guys are doing all right after that. Sad. I thought they were going to last forever. You know, the weird thing to think about is that Zoe Kravitz was like Jason Momoa's daughter. Only like they're 10 years apart in age. You would think it would be more appropriate for Jason Momoa to be dating Zoe Kravitz than Lisa Bonet, because Bonet is like, I don't know, 15 years older than Momoa. Megan Fox got engaged. Yeah, the rest of the stream does belong on Twitch. You're right. I have deviated, but that's all right. That's all right. We're here, man. We're here and we're together. And that's what counts. Man, collective. MGK and Megan Fox are pure cringe. Jason Momoa wanted Zoe's mom since he was 5. I can see that. In the hills. To me. Yeah, man. So what's up? What you guys doing today? I think we're just going to kind of lay low. The weather's very, very nice. We were going to go to Mobile, but decided we're going to go next weekend instead. Marvel released some Moon Knight stills. Rumor is a trailer on Monday. Let's see. I saw the one of his hand. And you can see the texture of the suit, which was kind of cool. Yeah, I saw the one where he's like in that superhero stance. Wait a second. Whoa, is this for real? Hold up, let me pull this up. Is that for real? Yeah, I guess so. Not a lot to look at there. How do I close this thing? I don't need that open. Okay. White glove, cool. All right, Oscar Isaac looking shocked. Is that what the suit looks like? I guess so, man. Not what I was expecting. Don't know what I was expecting. Moon Knight's face is always so obscured under the robe, you know? Let me close that. There we go. That looks a little better. Yeah, let's bring this thing to life. There we go. I guess that's the concept art of the character. Pretty freaking cool looking. Looking stacked. And then 3 versions of varying distances. So I guess that's the look at the costume that we get. I'm into it. Let's see what Moon Knight looks like. Yeah, I guess in the comics you can see his face. It's a pretty fucking cool suit. I don't know anything about Moon Knight. I feel like it has something to do with Egypt. It kind of reminds me of Black Adam and Batman. Would we say that that's like a reasonable comparison? If anybody has any cool stories, news stories, headlines, weird news that's come out over the last week, I would love to see it. I have been working very hard on my Child's Play script. I told some of you that I finished watching the Child's Play series, or Chucky series, sometime last week, and I started working on a video essay for it because I've been talking about the movie long enough, or the series coming out for long enough. So I'm like about 75% of the way done with the script itself. So that means I'm like 20% of the way done with the video. It's going to be a long one, man. It's looking like it's going to be about 30, 35 minutes long. I had a lot of fun with that series as well. I wouldn't say it's a 4 out of 5, but I wasn't expecting it to be like, come on. I've always been a big supporter of Don Mancini, and the fact that he created this series and has kept it running longer than A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, any of those horror movies that I was talking about earlier. Like, if you would have told me back in 1990 that Chucky was going to outlast Freddy Krueger, I would have said you were insane, right? And here we are, 35 years later, and the original creator is still making stories. And in fact, I would say that the Chucky series is by far the best Child's Play so far. It's pretty fucking good, dude. It's pretty good. I was impressed by it. I know those kids go hard for middle schoolers, man. Like, I was a wild boy growing up, for real. But I didn't start partying, like, smoking and drinking and shit until I was in at least high school. Until I was in high school. Might have been my freshman year, but I was in high school. I wasn't doing that shit when I was in middle school, I don't think. These kids are, like, throwing parties, dude. Going ham. Let's see here. Let me get back to the Moon Knight stuff. Waiting for Snowvid to hit Atlanta. What's up, Straight Jacket Studios? March 30th is not the announced yet rumored date for Moon Knight. Unicorn Hunter CG. How you liking Peacemaker so far? Big fan. Spent a little bit of time talking about it. If you do want to go back in the video, you can check out my full thoughts there. But suffice it to say, so far, I'm really enjoying it. I watched the first 3 episodes last night on HBO Max and had a lot of fun with it. Now Google Batmite. Got it. Good call. Batmite is a character that was addressed in the Peacemaker series, and now that I see him, I know him. I forgot about him. Batmite. Kind of Spider-Ham, a little bit. I mean, I know that's not like a one-to-one comparison, but that's what my brain thinks of. Moon Knight is complicated. He's like Batman, but has multiple personality disorder. I'm very excited for Miss Marvel, and I Am Groot, and House of Harkness, and Secret Invasion, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and everything else that Marvel is putting out. Holy shit, they keeping us busy, man. I gotta catch up on, I still hadn't watched episode 3 of Boba Fett yet, but I heard there's a great cameo in it, so I'm definitely gonna check it out today. Just hadn't got to it yet. I gotta admit, I've not been very enthusiastic about new Star Wars content. Yeah, I know, right? What a fucking piece of scum I am. I wish I was, man. I wish I was more excited about it. How about that huge oceanic volcanic explosion near Australia today? Tsunami hit coast. Yeah, that's a crazy one. That's a crazy one. There's like a tsunami warning on the West Coast. Dude, this, to me, scariest thing in the world is a tsunami. Stay off beaches and boats. Tsunami advisory in effect for U.S. as waves hit Tonga following eruption. Here's a... Dude. The scariest video I've ever seen. Where's it at? It's not how you spell that. I think this is it. The Thailand tsunami. I don't know, but the footage that I saw, there's a person just like standing on the edge of the shoreline as this gigantic tsunami rolls in. And it just takes everything with it. Anyways, that's the scariest thing that you could possibly, to me, the scariest thing ever. Look at that. There's just nothing more powerful than the ocean. It just takes what it wants. Just pulls it back out to fucking sea, dude. I worked at a Subway on Pensacola Beach. Pensacola Beach is like a small barrier island. It's just like this thin strip of land that separates two bodies of water. And on closing shifts, many times I would be driving home up the beach road and just think like, man, a tsunami would take this entire island. So yeah, hopefully there's nothing super major that comes out of all of this. Tonga is the name of the place. Let's see if we can see footage of the Tonga tsunami. Holy shit, dude.
America's most reliable network is going ultra with Verizon 5G ultra wideband now.
That looks like
in
an
many more
ad.
cities.
That's just too clean. This isn't news footage at all.
10 times faster than before. Whoa, is that done?
Yep.
Verizon is going ultra, so you can
Multiverse
too.
of Madness, I'm excited too.
Well, also this morning, some frightening scenes
Martin
coming
Keever,
out
I
of the
binged
Pacific
Dexter,
Island
New
nation of
Blood,
Tonga this
Redemption
morning. Take
for
a
the
look
horrible
at this
final
satellite
season.
video
I heard
erupting
mixed
12
things. I heard the
people.
ending was not
As
dope.
waves as high as 4 feet
Oh my God, dude,
rushing
look
to
at that.
unbelievable. That blast sent thousands in Tonga rushing to higher ground as waves as high as 4 feet crashed to the shore, triggering a tsunami warning. Authorities in the nearby nations
Holy
of Fiji
shit.
and Samoa have also warned residents.
They don't look
to
like what
stay
you
away
think they
from the
would,
shore.
though. It's not
There are
exactly
no
like a
immediate
Roland Emmerich movie where it's like the face of a wave. You know what I'm talking about? Like on Day After Tomorrow or whatever, like the waves look like waves that you would surf. They've got faces. Tsunamis is just like the water level rises and the sea just fucking pushes itself into the cities. It's insane. It's fucking insane, dude. Yeah, best of well wishes to all of those people that are affected by that. And I hope the West Coast stays safe and that there's no huge tsunami that wipes out California. I mean, dude, if you're going to fucking take out a state, let it be Florida, dude. Let it be Florida. I'm just kidding. Florida, America's dick. Yeah, King of the Hills 34, absolutely. Unicorn Hunter, Dexter, New Blood, final episode is ass. I did hear the season was good, though. Nothing scarier than the... Yeah, for sure. For sure. Tornadoes are scary, you know? Hurricanes is like, at least you see them coming. You got plenty of time, usually, to get out of Dodge when it comes to hurricanes, as long as you have the financial autonomy to be able to do so, because there are people who are not able to just pack up and leave all their stuff behind and go stay somewhere else, you know? But tornadoes come out of nowhere. There was a severe tornado, the longest tornado in history, recorded history, that swept through the South all the way up to the Midwest, I believe, or somewhere just a couple weeks ago. It was like major shit, dude. It was like mile wide or something. I'm talking out of turn now. Let me see. December 10th and 11th, tornado outbreak. Deadly late season tornado outbreak, deadliest on record in December, produced catastrophic damage and numerous fatalities across portions of the southern U.S. and Ohio Valley. From the evening of the 10th to the early morning of the 11th, the event developed as a trough, progressed eastward across the U.S., interacting with an unseasonably moist and unstable environment across the Mississippi Valley. Tornado activity began in northeastern Arkansas before progressing into Missouri, Illinois, and Tennessee, and Kentucky. Holy shit, dude. Yeah, weather is a indiscriminate taker of shit. Like, we as humans, we're so callous, man. We believe that we just have so much control, and then Mother Nature comes and is like, you thought you had it all under control, but you were wrong. Then there's the people that are like, man, look, weather phenomenons, they're caused by the government. Those tornadoes, man, they're government conspiracy. Lizard brain people. Yeah, I'm really good at impressions. I'm not sure that you guys knew that, but I really do appreciate you stopping by to be a part of this conversation. It means a lot. It's been a long time, and happy that some of you still came by to see what was going on in the world of movies, pop culture, weird news, all of that kind of good stuff. If you enjoyed this video and you're still here, do me a favor, take a second to click that thumbs up button. It really, really helps out. And yeah, get out there and enjoy the weather before the end of days. You know what I mean? Death is imminent. It's coming for all of us. Let's get out there and enjoy shit in the meantime. And until next time, I'm Jeremy. Be terrible. Peace.